They love me.
We're live.
We're live?
Oh,
wait a second.
Are all the way live.
All the way live. It still had the replay coming. Just the music was so good. I didn't want to let it go.
I just want to
keep listening.
I want to get into it. I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
Well, and I'm like watching the delay feed right now going, all right, it's still going. Wait, He just said it's live, but it's still going.
I'm sorry.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of Techsplanation, the place where we talk about tech and sometimes we actually explain it. It just depends on the day of the week. But today is Thursday, so I think we're going to explain some stuff. That's all there is to it. But I'm not doing it alone because that would be a boring show. So as always, I've got the ever consistent Jordan Peterson. Wait, that was the wrong Jordan. See, I've hit every Jordan today except for the right one. Jordan Friday at the board today, mixing the fun, laughing at my mistakes. And Jordan, say
yes. What? Hello.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hi. Yes.
That's awesome.
So, King Friday.
You got to say King Friday.
Yeah,
King Friday's
that
here.
was just amazing.
If you haven't seen his latest video, Jordan has gotten really good, people. I mean, he's like, I think he's going to replace me soon. No. I'm going to be looking for a new job as Jordan becomes Mixmaster Extraordinaire and MC of all things. Okay, so we're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about replay, highlights, fan engagement. We're going to kick some ideas around. And in order to do it, we figured we'd bring on somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Kane Peterson from NewTek.
Yes.
Hello. Thank you. Great to be on.
Good to have you here. It's been a while since you have graced us with your presence. So thank you for making time. You are a busy guy.
Try to be busy. Yes.
Oh, it's good. It's a necessity in this industry, right? It's called job security.
It is. You gotta hold of me early enough I could, free up my schedule. So there we go.
Perfect. All right. So we got a couple things to talk about. There's been a bunch of updates in around 3Play and other software applications in the NewTek world. So I definitely want to hit on those. I think if I look at the rundown for today's show, Jordan gave it to me. We're going to hit. Jordan, where are we starting today? I already forgot. See, this is bad. We got some articles and some news stories.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. So, we figured we'd pull something fun. Article 1, which one am I looking at here?
This is evolution of sports. This is how evolution of sports.
Oh, this is the Verge, the creative article. This one, really and truly, I think. And there's a better story, I think, that's going to come along a little later, but it's really about the conversion to the digital fan base. And there was a story that broke just a couple weeks ago that more of the next generation likes watching the highlights than they like watching the game, right? I mean, they want just the quick, and maybe it's just because we spend too much time on TikTok and not enough time on long form TV. But I think there's just this big shift right now of people wanting bite-sized content when it comes to their sports, and connecting with your favorite player and your favorite, sort of athlete, but also your team in just a shorter bite-sized way. And I think this kind of sums it up a little bit in this story. As always, we'll post the stories in the in the show notes so you can read along at home later. But this is an interesting article. Next one over, Jordan. Let's do the. Which one? Yeah, the S&P one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this is that, and really, this is exactly that. 30% of those age 18 to 24 prefer watching games live, but 25, or the larger group of them, like watching the clips. They like connecting on social media. They like getting the shorter content. And so it's really about a large chunk of that audience wanting to just know what happened and not be out of the know. And so they're connecting with these little clips and sort of the highlights. So that, it's just an interesting kind of tidbit of where the future's going. I thought this was good on NBC's side. They acquired the youth sports streaming provider, Rapid Replay. Now, Rapid Replay isn't entirely replay. It's about getting to your favorite youth sports team and watching the content. But I think it's interesting from a sports application that even youth sports now is a media segment that is growing, that more and more parents maybe whose kids are traveling and doing traveling teams, or the family members with kids on on teams that are playing around the country get a chance to see it. And I think it's maybe an interesting societal change that why we went remote on work. That a lot of our families are remote, but they still want to see the games that our kids are playing. They still want to go watch, Johnny play soccer and Susie do racquetball or whatever Susie's playing these days. I can't keep up with her. She changes sports often.
Always doing something else.
I know. I seriously thought she was gonna, soccer was gonna be her thing. But so it's just an interesting shift, right? And so what's more interesting is that we've got a company like NBC investing heavily into this space because they see sports. Obviously, NBC is big in the sports arena, but youth sports. Go figure. Moving forward, in kind of coming back full circle to the replay conversation, the under the hood experience for referee replays, that is getting better and better. So NFL, big investment in that this last year or a couple years ago as they're investing more into the replay system, which kind of brings us into why we've got Kane on today, which is to talk more about replay and what that means for fan engagement, how to utilize replay solutions or specifically the 3-play to get more out of that and obviously get more fan engagement because that's where the money is. I think people follow their team, but they follow their favorite player more, right? And wherever that player goes, I think it's shifted. Maybe 30 years ago, it was all about your team. Now it's about your player. And how do you follow your player? You look at their highlights. Jordan, what do we got? You got something coming up. What is your segment here?
It's nothing. It's nothing really.
No, come on. You were excited about this.
Well, I'm a meme guy. I've always been a meme guy as millennials sort of made the whole content.
Not mean people. Meme. M-E-M. Memes. He's into memes.
Yeah, memes. I love memes. And I had a couple here that were specifically they were specifically NewTek related, sort of. If I can get the right gosh darn overlay going here. All right, so first one. So for those of you who are not in the know, everything used to be really simple. Like you plug a cable from a camera into the switcher. That's the whole signal flow. Now you got to get into a whole weird, crazy scientific area that you can't even see in this network to be able to get anything to work. So it's like you don't just plug an SDI cable into a camera anymore. It's like you got a lot more. So this tickled me just a little bit. So yeah, it didn't tickle.
This is how Jordan feels when he's. Jordan feels this way because he can never remember the login to the router, so it's the network switch. So that's why he's like.
I would say we should go older. Why don't we go all the way back to analog so that you can deal with the signals degrading at the other end and really get the full parent experience out of it.
Get your signal boosters out, split your RGBV out. That's a mess. That's a mess.
True. All right, next one. Here we go. I'm sorry.
What is going on here?
It's so true, though. Every time anybody wants to, a lot of times new clients really don't fully understand that it's like, no, you need a legit, robust network to be able to, do full NDI, 20, 30, 40 sources and everything. And then you walk into their, into their closet, or you hear what it is that they're doing. And they've got, a little, mamby-pamby little router, so. You guys are not laughing at my jokes. This is
no, because this is bringing back nightmares, right? I'm like already my brain is like, oh gosh.
You're going to use what?
Yeah, there we go.
You bought a $20 switch on Amazon and you want
okay. I'm kind of terrified. I don't remember all of these, so I hope.
Okay, well then you better keep going. You better. Okay. Wow. I'm going to get calls from lawyers on that one.
No, we're just going to skip it. And then I love this one. It's the only way to stop the evil one is 10 hours of Kane Peterson.
So many people have listened to my voice for so long.
Yeah.
This is true.
Oh my gosh.
It goes back ages. Hey, big shout out to Lisa Wood and the team at ComputerWise. Thanks for being fans and thanks for watching the show. We love our fans. So yes, all right. Mm-hmm. I haven't visited them in a long time. It's good. It's good. All right, Jordan. Was that the end of the memes?
No, I didn't want to get nuts with it. So yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, already getting calls. Getting calls.
Don't just have fun, guys. Come on, it's just fun. Seriously.
Hey. It's a beautiful thing. Glad
Absolutely.
it's there. All right.
You want to get into the meat segment?
Yeah, let's do a little slide deck. Okay, I mean, it would never be a, meat segment. So everybody, just so you know, we've broken down the show into appetizer, main course, and dessert. So we're going to enter into the main course now. Wait, he's doing it again?
Yep, there we go. Sorry.
Okay, we're back.
It's been a while.
Yeah, well, it's been a few weeks since we've been on air. I apologize to everybody who may have missed us. My mom, specifically. All right, so, obviously, Kane, we want to talk a little bit about, like, fan engagement. As we kind of saw from some of the stories here, it's all about how to get your audience at all times, right? And so much of it is like, how many times is anybody actually on air, or available to watch the game? And so it's really, these clips, this media is really about feeding your fans and engaging your fans in between, right? And in between the games while they're on the bus, and just keeping that rabid fan base always, kind of tying in. So this, this is kind of where you guys sit. And I think everybody kind of thinks of the TriCaster as sort of the staple piece. It's like, yeah, well, we produce all our sports shows on TriCaster, but that's like that's the live component. And I think where 3Play comes in is not just in the game, but all the things they can do for post game, right? And how that's going to success. So that's kind of why we talk about a little bit about, highlighting success. So the first one is how to create a sports fan base, right? And that's really, and going back to that article, that next generation of kids, they want the TikTok experience. They're looking for those short, bite-sized moments, that highlight reel that, I look at like Barstool Sports and some of these other companies that are really accelerated on creating just micro moments of greatness or non-greatness, but they're still micro moments that people can engage with in between. I mean, you look at the I think one of the hottest sports stars right now is a college student who's in gymnastics. She can't even show up to class right now because she's being mobbed.
Wow.
And if you look at what's going on in this environment, they have security on her. A college student who's a gymnast has security. She's got more security than Biden. But I think she hit the secret sauce, right? Is she's got a TikTok community that she's feeding them bits of data throughout the day and throughout the week. So, I mean, it's a really interesting, kind of shift in moving from, did you watch the game? Did you see that moment? Right. And how that plays. So obviously,
if you think about the replay operator, I mean, to be honest, right, isn't their whole job to capture all those moments? They're all generally a few seconds long. And right there's the person creating all that content that you're literally just talking about right there. They're one of the most important people, because really they are now your social media gateway, right? That replay, or that 3Play controller, because it used to be like, hey, record, create me a little reel, and I'm going to play it at commercial break. It's so much more now. Right. You're right. It's so much more. So a couple of things. I mean, obviously, don't skimp on cameras. Get good cameras, because it's sort of the garbage in, garbage out mentality, right? We got to make sure we're capturing the data well. We're getting, good incoming content. So that's important. Where else are we going here? I got strength in numbers, fan engagement, obviously through branding, through messaging, but through a lot of content, right? I mean, the more content, the more engaged your fans are, especially if they're connected to your Twitter, your Facebook, your TikTok account, because they're getting notified and you're at the top of their mind every time you're pushing content. So, and that gives you the opportunity to sell merch and to grow your brand at the same time through, merch sales and ad sales. So definitely, when we're learning this as we, grow our audience, is the more we're here, the more often we engage, the more audience we get. So these become very important.
Agreed.
Content engagement. And this is, really goes back to sort of the same story, is that you've got to put the content where the people are, right? And I think this is and that is always moving based on the audience you're engaging. I think there's still a strong YouTube, but maybe Facebook is a slightly different audience. It's not the younger generation. There's so many of even these modern TikTokers that I realize are using every platform. Like Jordan and I follow some of the same people, but I follow him on YouTube Shorts and he follows them on TikTok. So it's really
not true. Anyone, that is not true. I do not follow anybody on TikTok.
He's a huge TikTok fan.
I quit a long time ago.
last week. That's not a long time ago, Jordan. Just saying. But it's, it's that second screen experience. And I think, Kane, if you remember years ago, like and maybe in the early days of streaming media, second screen experience, especially for Amazon, was going to be you could buy the things that you were seeing. And there was a lot of discussion about, open up your second screen and you'll get stats on the actor. And I don't know how much they made. It was an interesting.
See background information, all sorts of additional content around it.
I mean, Amazon has turned it into a way to sell the furniture that the actor is sitting on or the jacket they're wearing. But I don't think it ever really took off the way that second screen can now with shorts, with clips, with bite-sized social media, and kind of where that's changed.
Well, yeah, getting those alternate angles, right? You might have saw the one angle that went during the broadcast, but with replay, you've got all the other camera angles, and you can provide those as well, so people could see the reverse angle or other ways the play unfolded.
I mean, just out of curiosity, what do you think's in an average football game? How many cameras are running?
Well, a lot of that is going to depend on the scale of the production, but certainly at a smaller one, it might only be 3 or 4 cameras. But you go up to large scale productions, they're going to have 20 cameras on the field.
You could almost, if you were capturing all that data, you can almost do like a real sports bullet time, right? Where it's like, hey, capture it from every angle and kind of rotate around it. That'd be interesting. I'm sure there's some people doing it.
I like this. Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Sorry, went too fast.
What?
We're good. We're back. We're good.
I'm lost. Where are you at? Oh, yeah, micro content. This goes back to the same story, right? It's the shorts, and I think that's what we read in that article, is that there's that segment of the fan base that wants bite-sized content. They want something that's exciting that they can share with their friends in the moment that isn't going to take an hour to get through, right? It's like, okay, don't watch this podcast Techsplanation. It takes an hour, but here's this bite-sized piece of podcast of this funny moment where Nick screwed up or made fun of Jordan. I can't remember which one it was, but it was a good clip. I'll send it to everybody afterwards. Yeah. But it's that there's... Yeah. No, you.
No, I was just curious. I just, to me, like, do you guys think that this type of content is really only going to do well if it's the big guys, like if it's, the top tier NFL, NBA, MLB? Do you think this, that like for either college or even high school, do you still think there's value in capturing these games and then filtering it off into content? Kane, Nick, what do you guys think?
I think an awesome play is an awesome play no matter what level it is at. When you see stuff like that on YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that, where you can just see like, here's some team you've never heard of before, but it's just something amazing happens, and it's incredible to watch when that unfolds.
Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say my favorite stuff. I mean, I don't follow a lot of sports teams, but I like some of the channels that I watch is non-sports people doing crazy stunts, crazy activities. I mean, the guys who drop ping pongs off of, second story balconies and bounce them until they hit the cup. I mean, the ones that, those are short clips. They're fun to watch. It's less about the person and more about the channel, right? And then they're selling me cool stuff. They sell me ping pong. I have a box full of ping pongs I keep buying because I watch this stuff. But I mean, that concept, I mean, to me, it isn't about a specific athlete. It's about somebody who's curating content that I want to watch, and they're all short and fun things that I can do in a moment and share with my kids. And, yeah.
This is a nice little breakdown across everything.
Yeah.
So investing in imaging is number one. Don't skimp on those cameras. Nobody's going to watch a game that doesn't look good, that you can't see anything, you can't hear anything, it's too dark. That's number one. 2, making sure that
you got to have the right zoom on those cameras too, with the right lenses, because you can go a long distance sometimes with some of those games, and you need to focus in.
Exactly. And then designing your branding that is going to make people want to follow you. That a weak brand is really difficult for people to rally around. Then making sure that your content is everywhere. It doesn't matter whether you're a high school or the highest level pro grade sports. Make sure that your content is put on every possible platform. But then the last one, micro content, that it's not just we posted a full from the time the first person sat in the chair in the stadium to the very end uncut live stream. Don't just post that. Also break that up into either highlights and replays. Yeah. And then
agreed.
Some of the best
and
branding.
then comes
some of the best branding. I'm just saying.
Seriously.
I'm just saying. It's some of the best. Nope. Like, if you want like a masterclass in creating, not only creating buzz, not only having a fan identity that everybody can rally around, but then just their social media game. Just everything about the Warriors is. I know I'm in SAC. I know I live in SAC. It's gonna be hard to quit the Warriors. I'm just saying.
You know what? Get on board with the teams, buddy. Mm-hmm. With the Kings.
I'm trying.
It's time.
I'm trying.
It's time.
I went to a Kings game. Yeah, it was fun. I liked it.
Oh.
Production was amazing. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we have a question for you, Nick.
Yeah, go for it.
Mm-hmm. The question is,
I'm ready.
So I'll pretend to be the customer here. So if I go into the NewTek ecosystem, can it cover Kane? Can it cover every aspect of an entire sports broadcast, would you say?
I would say absolutely. I mean, we've got, of course, TriCaster, which is our production system, right, for bringing those cameras, switching, overlaying graphics, recording. Even the TriCaster by itself has some instant replay capability. So, even if your budget is smaller, right, that can get you in the door. Then, of course, you can add a 3-play to that. That gives you that dedicated instant replay. You've got a separate operator that can focus on that. We also have graphics tools. Flowix, as some of you might know, is a graphics platform to feed in the titles, the stats, all that kind of data, and overlay it. And of course, then we can stream that out to a variety of CDNs and content, or of course send it out as a live video signal, or record it for whatever kind of post-production archive work you would need to do with it later.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I kind of knew the answer, but I wanted to hear the way that you were going to say it. But you're absolutely right. That this is the type of thing that is, to me, that is incredible about NewTek, that not every company can say, is that it's like a specific vertical, sports broadcast and production. We can do it from soup to nuts. So just a couple of things here. Nick, do you want to go through them, or you want me to go through them?
No, I was just going to say, I mean, if you look at all the acquisitions that are happening in the market right now, it's those companies that have had a piece of it are acquiring the other parts and pieces right now.
Yep.
They're building up that full suite. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you want to rapid fire these, Nick?
Which ones? The questions or the
slides? Can you see my slides, brother?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, jump to the flex. I think that's I'm in love with this little box. I still haven't got mine. One day.
I haven't either.
Oh, mine's over there. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
you want to ship it to me? I'll hold on to it for you.
Oh,
I will keep it happy for you.
It's got different colored lights that can change. Yeah. It's
Well, the fact that it's completely IP. I can't wait for some of the ports to get turned on in there and sometime in the future. It's a great little box. And for the customer that all the buttons are there, I think it's worth getting. For sure. PTZ through camera, Jordan. You jumped. Mm-hmm. Oh, you jumped to that one already. Yep. Obviously, not for every sports environment, but especially for the right room, it's a great camera for that, because it's going to get you. It's got a great lens on it, 30x. I mean, that's
I was gonna say it's got the zoom capability. Certainly, should you need it.
I've only seen a 35 in one other camera, and so 30 is about the top you're going to get on these. And then the trace mode on that one, some of the the cooler features that you guys have put in there, the really slow start and stops on. Yeah. So great camera. Great camera to put in there. All right. And then Jordan, straight to the 3P2. So obviously that's sort of the core of the conversation today, is around replay, around how to do it. And what we're trying to show is, like, 3Play is important. Even if you're not intending to do replay in the moment, if you're using it for your social media box, for capturing the extra cameras maybe that your TriCaster is not capturing, right? And getting those additional feeds and then using that to create great content and posting it in the moment. It's a great box to have.
Kane,
so we're going to come back to that, because Kane.
Mm-hmm. I do, and we just released a free software update to it only about a week or two ago. So, and I know that's part of the focus we'll have later, is to talk about what some of those new features are that we just put into the product.
You're going to show us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's going to be more fun that way. And then last one, CaptureCast. And there's actually an announcement on CaptureCast. We'll get that one. But on the CaptureCast specifically, there's an announcement, and that was that they're breaking it up. They're breaking up the band, and you can now get a CaptureCast that has fewer input channels so that maybe you want to start a little smaller. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that's great.
Because what we found is there's some places that maybe just have a single room. They're not ready to capture multiple rooms. So you can now get the base unit, and then you can just upgrade it in software for the additional capabilities and build it all the way up to what, the main unit was that we had. And the beauty of that is it's the same hardware that you start with. So
absolutely,
gives you a much more scalable solution.
Not just scalable. Actually, I heard a great use case for it the other day. It was just as a multi-channel streaming box, right? I mean, hitting multiple CDNs.
Well, you use it for the streaming, multi-channel recording. So yeah, there's other use cases certainly that it can fit into beyond your just traditional lecture capture that you might think of.
All right, and Flowix. So, and I think part of what we're trying to show is, like, as Jordan mentioned earlier, you guys are the end-to-end story now with a few of these new additional pieces, specifically Flowix. I think really gives a powerful story about graphics and how graphics can be done. And I think the part that I love the most about it is my graphics person. We don't necessarily need a dedicated CPU, a big box that is driving the graphics. I just need a web-enabled device now to log in, to manage the content and push the content. And that is exciting because it gives a little more flexibility to even saying, maybe my graphics guy isn't even in-house. Maybe he's remote. Maybe he's somewhere
Absolutely.
else.
They could be building those. You can pull them in. They could be separated. And we even have plugins now that allow you to trigger the Flowix graphics from your TriCaster macro system. So you literally, they could go build everything ahead of time, and then your TriCaster operator could be the one just triggering the graphics to happen when you're ready.
Absolutely. So to know more about Flowix, check out one of our other episodes. We did a full one on Flowix. We actually used it to play a video or a board game or a Q&A game, and we gave two people different channels. That was a lot of fun and allowed them to control their own Flowix channel. Very cool. To know more about CaptureCast and the recent changes, we actually have a podcast releasing. Jordan, when's that going out?
That's going out early next week.
Yes. Early next week. So next week, check out
maybe since it just dropped, maybe we should release it sooner. Maybe.
Okay, release it sooner.
Yeah, I think we should.
Make sure you're subscribed so you see the link on that one, because I think the changes on that is going to make it easier to sell and easier to get into more environments. So, okay, let's talk about the 3Play. So, Kane, there have been a bunch of announcements on 3Play, and it's I like when I look at these things, they're like little bullet points. They seem like interesting things, but they're really important changes. They're like software features that I think are going to allow that thing to be the catalyst to building your fan base, right?
So
talk
absolutely.
to us.
These features are direct from feedback from customers in the field who have them. So, really, I think this will address a lot of different, capabilities that, not say everything is going to be for every person, but across the board, I think everybody's going to find some stuff out of the enhancements that is going to appeal to them.
So walk us through, what are the core big changes right now? If we look at, I think like tagging and logging is a big one that I'm always interested in, but how do you break it down?
Well, so I actually was going to flip over and I could show the interface, and that way we can kind of talk about them as we see. That might be the best way to go.
Let's do it. We are a show and tell type of organization.
I'm going to switch over here and give me just one moment to get control over it. So can you guys see the interface?
I got the wrong thing.
Jordan's
one moment,
hold please. Your call is important to us and will be answered with the first available video channel. We're
there we go.
Whose Google desktop is that? Oh, there we go. Now we're in.
You can see me?
Yeah, we got you now.
Well, not me, but you can see my interface. Perfect. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the first part I just want to start with, because this kind of will lead into some of the other stuff, is just some of the UI changes and improvements. Because to be honest, even though UI might not be considered like a headline feature, the fact of the matter is you deal with it day in, day out. And these are the little things that just make things better. And some of these will also then kind of show, when I talk about some other features later, you'd be like, that's why they made that change, or that's why they made that enhancement, because it even allows you to take that function further than what you might have originally thought. So one of the first ones is that you now have the ability, so you're looking at my primary interface right now, and of course 3Plays had the ability to have multi-view monitors, right, where you can have up to 1 or 2 additional displays. And previously those multi-view monitors would only display the inputs, outputs, right? But live video. Well, now you have the ability that you can put either your clip playlist panes or your tagging pane on that multi-view. So in fact, let me switch over. Here's my multi-view monitor. I'm going to go put the clip list over there, and you can see that now I have a full screen clip list playlist right, that on that monitor, and then I still have all the other functions on my primary display. I can open up tags, I can open up the other sources that are on there, and of course if I had a third monitor, right, I could still use that as a traditional multi-view if you wanted to. So it really allows you to take advantage of all of that screen real estate that you could potentially have on a system. And so not only can you put the clip lists over there, but you can also put the tagging panel over there. So you can just see I just switched the tagging panel, and we'll come back to this in a little bit, and you'll see that how having this tagging panel running on a separate display can be even better than it might seem like right now of just, hey, I can put it on another monitor. So that's one of them. We also, just so you can see here, when I go and put, for example, let's put the playlists over there. The live video monitors, the multi-view is now smart on the primary display. You notice how it's gone vertical. Normally they display horizontally, those 8 camera sources. So again, it's just, not only are we allowing you to move parts of the interface around and really take advantage of all the display, but you can see that it's smart enough to also still display stuff in a way that makes sense, right? So that you're getting the most out of the screen real estate that you have. Let me just put it back onto the normal display that we're used to. Another mode that is enhanced in here is that on the playlists, if you add more playlists, before, once you got to about 14, 15, right, if you added another one, it would scroll off the edge of the screen, and then you had to, there were left and right buttons you could use to page between the different tabs. And of course, if you had a bunch of them there, you might have to page over a bunch of times to get to it. Now it opens up a second row of playlists, and so you can see that I can have a lot more playlists on the screen than I had before. And then if you go to too many, right, it's still eventually going to scroll, but now it scrolls in an up-down fashion versus a left-to-right fashion. So if you're working with a lot of playlists, it's now much easier to navigate between those and work between them and maintain them and manage them than it was before, versus having to constantly scroll back and forth. And again, you'll see in a moment how having access to more playlists easier is going to be even more of an improvement than just necessarily having more of them on the screen like you might think. Yes.
So, Kane, for the novice operator, that's mostly me in this room, when would somebody use a playlist? Like, how would they be using these playlists?
Playlists are like highlight reels, or would be probably the primary case, right? You want to take all the great plays for a team or maybe a particular player and put those together to play out during breaks, halftime, end of game type stuff. But, in a way, you can think of it as like a real-time nonlinear editor, right? You're throwing clips down there. You can edit. You can adjust their speed. You can add transitions, right? All the kind of things you can do with an NLE. I realize it's not your traditional clip-based like you think of, a normal NLE, but ultimately that's what the playlist allows you to do. So anytime you need to create live edited content for output, that's what you'd use a playlist for.
Nice. That's amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah. And so the last UI improvement, and this is actually one that I've wanted for a long time, and it might seem minor, but gosh, I was so happy to see when they added it. Let's say you're not you got an 8-input 3-play like I have here, but let's say you don't have 8 inputs connected up, right? You can see in my case here, I've got 4 cameras, but cameras 7 and 8, they're empty, right? I have nothing connected right now for those. Well, previously you always had to have camera 7 and 8 up in your clip list, which just meant that, it was extra content that you could even select them, right? Of course, there'd be nothing there if you selected them, which would be black. So I always kind of wanted the ability to just can I turn those off so that I don't accidentally select them? I don't have to look at them. Maybe I can kind of declutter the interface a little bit, right? Have less stuff I'm looking at because I only look at the stuff that's truly important to me. Now there's these buttons over here, and you could do that. I could just say, hey, turn off camera 7 and 8. You can see they disappear. Now I can't select them, right? But they still record, And I bring that up because I know some people might use the last channel of their replay system just as like a backup recording. So it's never going to be used for instant replay, but they're just using it as like an extra record channel. You could even just turn that off and it's still going to record it. It's just, but now it's not something that you have to worry about from a replay standpoint. You can just focus on only the cameras you're truly going to work with. And of course, you can turn these on or off as necessary. So it's not like you're stuck with anything once you turn, you set them, but it really allows you to focus down on only what's important for the game.
That's amazing.
So those are the UI improvements. I don't know if there's any questions that either of you maybe have from any of that.
Not in those.
Okay.
Not in those.
So,
but I know where you're going next, and I have questions.
Yeah. So now let's get into, I think, what the cool stuff is, which is the kind of the major enhancements, and seeing some of this UI stuff will lead into that. So one of the big ones is if you happen to be in an environment where you've got multiple 3Play systems, 3P2 systems, we now have the ability to do playlist sharing. Now this is something we did offer with that you could do playlist sharing with certain model TriCasters. Now you can playlist share with a different 3Play system. And so if you happen to have, let's just say as an example, you're doing a big sporting event, maybe like an e-sporting event even, right? And there's so many camera sources, you got all these things coming in, and you need the two replay operators to collaborate and start sharing clips and working between each other. You can do that now with this latest 3P2 update. So let me just show you a really quick example of that. I'm going to, I actually have not one, but two 3P2s running in front of me right now. So let's just I've got some clips down here, right, in this playlist. In fact, let's even go and rename this playlist. We'll just call this Kane's Awesome Playlist.
Nice.
Right? So I've named it. You can go in here, of course, and you can trim and do all that kind of stuff. But now let's jump over to my other 3Play system. So here it is, right? This is another 3P2. It's only running in 4-camera mode right now, and I don't have all the sources connected. I just want to show the playlist sharing. But now what we can do is I can come in here, I can right-click in my playlist, and you can see there's an import from 3Play, and this will see all the other 3P2s that are out on the network. And so, of course, if you even had more than one, you could have 3 or 4 of them, right, and start sharing between all of them. And this goes in either direction as well. But I can go in there. There's my other 3Play. There's Kane's Awesome Playlist that I just edited, and I could just select it, and it just loaded all those clips. And when I select it, there's the clips right from the first 3Play now showing up in the second 3Play. And then I still have the full ability to edit, change. I could copy or cut clips and put them into other playlists. So even if it's just taking some of the elements from one and I need to use it in something else, right? You could start doing all of those kind of workflows and really combining all of your sources together between multiple systems. And this is, I think, a huge enhancement.
Hold on. So, Kane, all right.
Yes.
So is it copying the files over, or is it just playing them out of the other box?
It's playing them out of the other box. And in fact, since these all support growing files, right, I have the ability to go and trim and extend these clips all the way up to like the live portion of capture that's happening right now. So even if the original playlist didn't get me the video I wanted, I could still grab my out point or my duration and get to any video that's still sitting on those drives that's available, that's been recorded.
Spectacular. That is sexy, because I mean, if you got an environment, and this goes back to some of our earlier conversations, I mean, you could use a bunch of 3Plays just to front your entire social media stream and have multiple loggers there, kind of cutting content and preparing content for fan engagement, people, because that's what we're here to talk about.
Absolutely.
All right, keep rolling. This is
all right. So that's one
awesome.
Of the big ones. Let me jump back to my first 3Play again here, and the next big new feature is around the tagging system. So there's been a tagging system in 3Play for quite a while now, but we've seen some big new enhancements in here. And so we'll just start by looking at it on the primary screen, and then I'll show you like how when we move it to a secondary screen, it can get even better. So I can open up my tags area, and by default, it doesn't really look much different than it might have when we started. But as soon as I go to edit tags, you're going to see some changes in here. You see this window pop up, right? That wasn't there before. And, and of course we have my tagging area. So first of all, a few things you can do. You now have the ability to delete these first 3 tags or tabs in here, right? Which before you couldn't do. So if you didn't need them all, right, you do have the ability. Of course, you could always add more, but now you have the ability to also delete the ones that you start with, which maybe is not huge, but certainly some people would come up with. Within each tab, we have 100 cells, and generally 100 is more than enough. But if it's not, you now have the ability to add additional rows. So you can now put as many rows in here as you want. And if you needed, 200 cells, you could have it. I mean, admittedly, most people probably, if they needed more, they only needed an extra, 1 or 2 rows. But again, before you couldn't add them, now you can. And so you can just go in here and add as many rows and have as many cells in here of tagging data that you want to have available to you. And then
that
is
a lot of tags to manage. I'm not going to lie. I mean,
it is. Yeah,
we've been around metadata systems for a long time, and I think this, for me, is one of the most important pieces of change. Not change because it's always been there, but it's just a piece that I really want to highlight. So, I mean, in every great post-production facility, there is a catalog system, a MAM, a DAM, a way to manage metadata, and that's super important because that metadata, which is effectively what you're doing here, is you're adding metadata to this content, allows us to find stuff. Find the most important clips, find the most important material. And if I go back to our statement of the week, which is fan engagement, right? This is sort of core to building that fan engagement because you've got all this data about the clips you're building and all this metadata there. Going back, let's say a story breaks, somebody has a heart attack on a field and you want to go pull clips of that player. This is how you're going to get to that content very quickly.
You got to find
These tags are ultimately important, to the greater engagement with your audience is being able to say, I'm looking for highlight reels. I'm looking for great clips. I'm looking for touchdowns, great, 3-point shots, whatever it is. These tags are the pieces that are going to get you back to your content quickly. So when you're ready to engage your fans with something new, something interesting, something exciting, these tags are going to be the way you get to that content quickly and export it and get it out to air for your audience to see.
Yep. And so then the other enhancements we have in here now is that you can go in and now adjust all sorts of parameters about the styling of these cells. So I can adjust the font size, the font style, the alignment, and including the color, right? So I could make, let's say I want the text to be in black and I want the background, maybe, I want to put team colors in there. Like let's say the team color is red, right? So you can make it easier to identify and find those tags, especially if there's important ones you want to draw out from, the sea of tags that you could have displayed on the screen. And if you needed to, you can also grab and scale the size of these to make them easier to see and select. And that's really where the enhancement for the secondary monitor comes in, because if you were to put this tagging panel on the secondary display, I thought I selected it. I didn't. There we go. This could be a touchscreen monitor, right? You could get a touchscreen display, and then, you can now very easily just tap on the screen. I need this one, this one, this one. That could be the main operator. Maybe you're going to have an assistant who's going to help with that. But now you can really make this tagging system work in those kind of environments. And I think that's been one of the things that people have been asking for is, how can we make tagging as easy as possible? And so, with these multiple outputs, and now that I can put the tagging system on a separate monitor, make that monitor be a touchscreen, and then with all the coloring and styling and stuff in here, and the ability to add more cells, you can make it very easy to just tap on the screen and select the tags that you need. And of course, that can be done on every single panel that you have in here, so you can have different colors, and then all of this can also be saved. So when you go to export your tags, oops, I know that's on the other monitor here. There is a new option called CSV plus styling, and this will save all of that coloring and text style information and stuff, so that you can exchange it with another 3-play or load it into another session, right? So that you don't have to keep rebuilding it over and over again. You can go through, do it all once, and then just reload it every single time you need that information again.
Well, and the loading it to other 3-plays means everybody's using the same dialogue. This is always something that's really important in the metadata world, is making sure we're all using the same tags, the same language, right? So that when I search everywhere and I can get the same responses back from one TriCaster to one 3-play to the next. Now, Kane, when you tag, in specifically with these. Is it go across every channel of video in that TriCaster, or is it just to each playlist individually?
You could choose when you hit enter. If you just press enter, it would only put the tag here. I could just show you a really example. I'll just type in something here. So if I just type in test, press enter, you notice that it only tags it on that one angle. But if I press shift and enter, right, it will tag across all angles. So you could literally, and that could be done off the keyboard, off the control surface, right? So it's just a matter of like, you enter your tags, but when you're done selecting them all, you press enter, and do you just press enter or press shift enter, or do you make a macro, right, that could do that function, right? You could choose either method as to, where do they go on the interface.
Wow. Got it. Killer.
All right.
Well, there is so much here. I mean, I love the direction this is all going, because it really plays nicely into being able to create content quickly, manage it, get it in front of an audience, and not just in real time, but, in post as well. Yep.
And then I've just got a couple other quick ones. Those two we looked at are probably the really headline ones, but there's been some audio enhancements. We now can output audio through other audio interfaces. I think Dante, so if you want your TriCaster to be, or your 3-play, sorry, to be a full Dante participant, it was always difficult before. Now you could install Dante virtual sound card, and you could direct your A and B outputs through, Dante or any other audio interface that you connect up to your 3-play system. We also give you additional control over the headphones. So before it always followed the A/B selection, but now you can force it to a particular one. So some nice audio enhancements. And then the last thing I just want to hit on very quickly, and this goes to your fan engagement more, is the export tool has been largely enhanced, so that now when you go to export a clip, let me just select one on the interface here, or actually let me add one, right? So let's just add this clip in here to the export tool. And so now when you go in here, you can now build the file naming that you want, right? What fields of data do I want to put in the file name of the file I'm going to export? And up here are all the things you want. So I could take my session name, I could take the comments and the tags and the titles and the clip IDs and the camera names and all this kind of stuff, and build together a template, right? And so here is the template at the top, and then here's an example with the clip I have selected of what the file name will look like. So if I wanted the session name added in here, right, I could add that, and you can see there, my session name is called Rev 81, right? And you can see that that's been added. And you can also type in your own stuff as well, or delete these and change them however you want. And then if there is a standard that you're going to use, you can also save this as your default. And this is across all sessions, right? So you could go and build this once, the template you like, and then open any session on your 3-play, and they will all use that naming structure for the files that it is going to create. And then that makes it even easier to then upload those clips to YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or wherever they're going to go, right? They can have a better names to identify them and manage them, or load them into a MAM system or something like that.
Well, yeah, that's key right there, because so many of these top sports agencies have a MAM, and this data eventually ends up in the MAM, and that naming schema tells you everything you need to know about the clip. It tells you who they played, when they played, where they played, what are the highlights here. So that becomes really, really powerful, because then the editor can look at it and know everything they need to know for graphics, for other data, so if they're posting it or just searching across it. So I love that. We use that so often in the old, CatDV MAM days, in terms of exporting and building clips or building, material, to be able to pull all that data together, because it tells you everything you need to know about that piece of media. The metadata is important.
It is. You want to keep it.
I always say content is king, but metadata is queen, and she rules everything.
Absolutely. But that gives you just a really quick, trying to cover like the highlight major new features. Again, free update. If you have I keep saying TriCaster, a 3-play, 3P2, you can go download this update today and get all of these new features on your system.
Even you do it. We always think TriCaster first when we think of NewTek, right? And it's
I suppose, yeah.
But I think
just say it so often.
Yeah. This is the missing link, right? This is where I want people to think, like, hey, give your customers another pathway to understanding why they want a 3-play, right? And it's less about highlights in the moment, because it might be completely about fan engagement after the moment. Kane, always exciting to see what you've got working on. I know you've got one other cool thing, and we have one more segment that we want to get to, but show us that little box you've got sitting there and what you did with it, because this is cool.
So for some of you, we just released the press announcement on this today. Give me one moment just to flip over really quick so I can give you the full experience.
I'm excited about this.
Oh, there it is.
This is going to be awesome.
Yes. So so you can see I've got a Stream Deck Plus, right, sitting on my thing. And if you look, you could say, hey, look at that. There's real-time VU meters, right, going on in there as I talk. And of course, if you guys talk, you'll see it up here in this one over here. So I've got that. So there is a new Stream Deck plugin that's available in the Elgato store, and you could just go download this and put it on your Stream Deck. And if you know, there's some other stuff in it as well, but this is obviously the big one, which is the audio enhancement. So if you have a new Stream Deck Plus, it's got the dials, right? You could drop this on here, and then all your parameters are down here. So you can choose what channel off the TriCaster audio mixer you want to adjust. And this is actually pulling the names right off the audio mixer. So if you rename it on your audio mixer, you'll see that name appear in here. You can choose how much, when you rotate the knob, how much audio adjustment do you want, right? Right now it's going to go 1 dB per click of the knob, but you could make it, you know, more, or you could type in a fractional number. Hey, make it a half a dB adjustment, right? So you can kind of dial in your granularity. What kind of VU meter do you want? So like, notice where the master one, let's go change that one really quick, right? I could make them be solid or thin segments. So you could use that to help identify different audio channels, or if you can put colored backgrounds on your Stream Deck, right? Sometimes certain backgrounds might show up better with a certain type of VU meter, so you can kind of play with that. And then each button has its own, or, you know, there's 3 actions you can assign. So you can assign an action to pressing the knob, which I could set to mute on this one. You can set an action to tapping the screen, right? And that can be done over here. And then you can also, if you hold your finger on the screen, you can assign a 3rd action. Now, I've turned off solo because I don't want to mess that up for our production we're going on here. But just to show you really quick here, I'm going to play some audio so you can just see it going here. I'll hit play, right? You can see the audio going there, and I can pull the level down. You can see the current dB level. Oh, it's muted for you guys. That's why you probably don't hear it. There we go. Right, and you can hear there's the audio. So you can make your adjustments in there and mute, unmute, stuff like that. So just a great free way that, you know, if you have a Stream Deck, obviously, that you can now have some control over your TriCaster audio mixer. And this will work with any current model TriCaster. It should even work on AE3 level systems. So if you've got like an 8000 or an 860 or a 460 or something that's running AE3, that should also be compatible with this as well.
Jordan wants to know if you can have a mute button for my keyboard.
I just want to make sure that my microphone works. That apparently my microphone hasn't been working for like most of the episodes, so this would totally solve that. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah. And
big thanks to Eagle Eye Bruce
on Windows
or
Mac. So
nice. And did
Kane, is there an interface yet for?
Go ahead, Nick.
I'm sorry. What's that?
No, you first, Jordan.
No, it's all right. It's okay. Go ahead. You're good.
Well, I was gonna say, is there a module yet for controlling the teleprompter in the TC?
Well, on the Stream Deck, yeah, here. There's a teleprompter control, and you've got all the major functions. Wow. And in fact, in this latest version, since we're talking about really quick, I added in 2 new things. One is a play stop toggle. So if you're using a Stream Deck pedal, right, you can now, based on is a teleprompter playing, it can either play if it stopped or stopped if it played, right, to make it easier to start, stop. And another thing that somebody asked for was an option called button depress speed. So let's say you're reading back your thing and you're like, oh my gosh, I either need to back it up or maybe slow down, right? You could basically have a button that when you hold the button down, it does one speed, and when you release it, it goes back to a different speed. Whoa. And that speed can be in reverse, right? So you could actually, like, maybe you just want a button that will like back it up a little bit. You could say like minus you play with the numbers to find out what works for you. But now when I hold the Stream Deck button, the teleprompter would reverse right at a slow speed, and as soon as I release it would go back to the 0.35 speed, which could be my reading speed. So those are new in addition to all the teleprompter control it had in the previous version of this plugin.
Dang.
Crazy. Yeah, I know. Jordan's laughing at me because that's always my complaint. I'm like, I need another way to control the prompter.
There you go. Yeah, there's a whole set of controls in here.
Oh, that is brilliant. All right. Okay. We got one last thing we want to do. Since we have the great Kane Peterson on the call, the smartest guy we know when it comes to all things NewTek and NDI. Jordan, it's time to launch tech support segment.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Okay, here we go.
Wow. You're putting me on the spot.
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't too bad.
Yeah. Okay, Jordan, read it out.
These are actually taken. Can everybody hear me? I'm seeing the VU meters.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. As long as everybody can hear me. Awesome. So these come from Facebook, from a couple of groups that I'm a part of on Facebook. The first one is, I've been given a project to scope out and wanted some tips and advice to start with. Does anyone use NDI to transfer camera footage back to a central storage device at a data center or head office? Kane, your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say we are now starting to see that happening. Previously, I wouldn't say, like, if you're talking over the internet or something, like it wasn't as much, although there were some solutions out there. But now with Bridge, right, that makes it really easy to do that. And there are storage systems out there now that have native NDI recording in them. NewTek makes one, so you could record those files right into the storage. And of course, even if you don't, there's recording applications, right, that could pick up those files, record them to disk. There's a couple different companies that make solutions doing that. Some of them even support growing file capability. So literally, you could have the streams coming in, get it recorded to disk, and your editors could pick those files up and start editing them while the production is still going on, and they don't have to wait until the production is completed before they start working. So there's a few ways to make that work. It's just really a question on, scope and the scale, and what all are they using, I guess. So.
That's awesome. That's a great answer.
Listen to that. Mm-hmm. On the spot, no less. No prompting.
All right, now we're getting a little more complicated. Here we go. So when connecting to a TC using NDI KVM, is there any way to have it show all possible multi-viewers, but without having actual monitors connected to the TC in the rack? It would be annoying to have to set up multiple monitors in a room where no one is sitting just so we can see them in an NDI monitor somewhere else. I think they're wanting to use the TC in sort of a headless, it's in a closet type of situation.
Yes. I know exactly what they're asking. So NDI KVM, along with NDI screen capture, only shares real displays, right? Displays that are active on the system. But I don't know if you'll be able to see this through my little window here, but you can go buy these little things called EDID emulators or dummy dongles, right? They make them for HDMI, DisplayPort, you can get them for all sorts of things. You plug these into the graphics card, and it will make the graphics card think a monitor is connected. I'm using that here. Like when you saw my 3-play multi-viewer, right? I don't have another monitor on my 3-play. I have one of these things plugged in to give the 3-play another monitor, and then I can pull it up through NDI KVM and access it. So I use these all the time. I've got a bunch of these things I bought, and I've just plugged them into all the different systems I have, and I literally then just share off of a single system. I use NDI KVM to whatever display, the primary, the secondary, whatever, and these things are cheap. In fact, you can buy like if you go on like Amazon, you could buy like a pack of 10 probably for like $20 or something like that, and just you plug them in, and that's all you need is just something like that.
That's incredible. Yeah, I love using those things. Yeah, we use them around the office all the time. They're great for that. And then the next part of this question is, will a USB TC controller, so I guess one of the older school ones, work if I connect it to a computer using NDI KVM monitor to control that remote TC, just like the keyboard and the mouse? And then what about the X Keys macro pad?
Yeah, so the NDI KVM does keyboard and mouse, but it is not general purpose USB. I guess the term is USB remotization, right? Where you're actually sending USB over. So it's not going to pick up any other USB devices and send those signals through the connection. That being said, there are other solutions that you could use with that. So, and in fact, NewTek Professional Services does have a tool that if you happen to have NewTek Professional Services, or you can get that through a reseller, that they can supply you a tool to make a control surface, a USB control surface even, work remotely over the internet and connect up to a system. So there are ways to do that, but it's not going to be just using NDI KVM by itself.
Nice. That's great. All right. And we got one last one for you. Here we go. So,
okay.
We are using NDI.
See if you can stump me.
I know. Yeah, this is from a group I'm pretty sure you're not a part of, so we'll see. We are using NDI and vMix for our streaming production. This has been working well for 18 months. We are considering using that NDI to send the sanctuary video to 3 places in the church: Overflow, Nursery, and Youth Center. We are also considering a second NDI stream for news and event TVs in at least 2 locations. I'm not a networking expert. Does anyone have experience to share on if this will flood a network? Should it be on its own subnet? And will Wi-Fi be able to handle it, or should it be hardwired?
Well, there's generally some starting things, but ultimately, a lot of it is you're going to have to test to see what exactly the network is capable of. But in general, it should be wired, right? I always shy away from Wi-Fi, whenever possible. But if you had to use Wi-Fi, HX type signals would certainly be a better way to try to make that work than high bandwidth NDI. And you could use NDI bridge to do that conversion. As for flooding your network, I mean, I wouldn't think, based upon what I'm seeing, if we're talking 3 channels of video, right, going out to those, that should be a problem with a gigabit network. But again, it also gets into questions like, well, what other traffic is on that network? I mean, I'm going with the idea that it's fairly empty, but if it's certainly busy with other stuff, that could make a difference. I would always recommend a separate subnet over using an existing network that's already carrying lots of other traffic. But I mean, again, that doesn't mean it has to be. That's just my recommendation, right? Because I think you're going to end up with a better end result. So, I mean, could you do what you're talking about? It's a possibility, but again, there's so many unknowns still, right? Like, what is the networking gear, and what resolutions are you working with, and if you're doing Wi-Fi, what kind of Wi-Fi, and how much other Wi-Fi noise is there in the spectrum, right? That are gonna, I can't answer and just give you a yes or no. It's going to be you're going to have to try it, but certainly separate network would be better, right? Wired is definitely going to be better over wireless to make that work. And a gigabit network should handle what you're talking about. You shouldn't need to go like 10 gig or anything to make that operate.
Nice. That's awesome.
Agreed. I was just asking the audience if they have any questions for the great Kane Peterson. Now's your chance to ask, because, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the end of the show today. It's been a full episode. We kept very busy.
Had a lot.
If the bosses asked,
we
were working the whole time, literally. Yeah, no doubt about it. Kane, always
wasn't all just laughs.
No.
Well, I mean, Jordan laughed a lot at me, but that's a different story. We'll talk later. Kane, always excited to have you on, man. You're always at the forefront of so many cool things over at NewTek. So, thank you for that. If you guys haven't seen it, check out one of our previous episodes in which Kane actually shows us his city council module, which we need to have you on to show the updates to that. But this is a interface designed to control your TriCaster from just a touchscreen that emulates the dais of the city council and does all your actions. So really cool things.
Recalls cameras and titles and everything all automatically.
Absolutely. I mean, but you always do really cool things to make TriCaster do stuff that people didn't know it could, or put it into places where maybe you wouldn't have considered it. So highly valuable, great things that come from the Kane camp. And we appreciate that. All right. Doesn't look. Oh wait. Lisa over at ComputerWise wants to know if you've been working out.
Me?
Yeah.
I should be probably again. I will. At the beginning of the year, I was really good about using the treadmill, and of course, like everything, after a couple months, I kind of got off doing that. But I've been meaning to get back into it again.
Is your treadmill the gateway to the dry cleaner? I mean, is all the clothes stacked up nicely on it?
It's not. It's otherwise ready to be used. It's not covered with stuff. It's just Fair
enough. Still early. All right. Yeah. Well, we will. We're gonna remind Kane monthly now monthly. Oh, Lisa says you're looking good though. She said, you know, you're on.
Thank you.
You're on. So now next time, every time Kane comes on, we're going to bug him about his treadmill. Kane, when was the last time you used the treadmill?
Yeah, that will get me working on it again.
Fair enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been fun. This has been real. Some might even say it's been real fun, but we're going to wrap this one up. If you have more questions, you know how to reach Kane. He's over at NewTek, and you know how to reach us. We're here at JB&A. Let's call this episode over and done. Kane, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice work on the switch, Jordan.
We gon' feel your love.